Israeli, Greek, and Greek Cyprus leaders met in Jerusalem, while security, defense, and military cooperation stood out at the summit. Messages directed at Turkey and potential joint military steps drew attention. We will discuss the implication of the trilateral summit for the balance of power in the Eastern Mediterranean and its impact on Turkey with retired Ambassador Uluç Özülker. Mr. Özülker, thank you for accepting our interview. First of all, in the joint statement signed after the summit, the three countries agreed to strengthen trilateral cooperation in the fields of security, defense, and military affairs. How do you assess this decision?
The decision is nonsense in reality, because Turkey is actually, when I look into it from the power point of view, Turkey is not comparable with those countries who are trying to influence Turkey differently. What they can do, I mean, they cannot declare war, after all, because nobody will let them go in this field. And secondly, they may cry and say anything they wish, but in reality, when you come to the practice, it's not possible to accept such a behavior. And personally speaking, there is no way, for success in this context, because when you compare the powers of both sides, unfortunately for them, unfortunately for us, they have to obey and come and establish new links, and not only links, but even beyond that, good neighborship, if you wish, in the region. So I don't think that this will create a different feeling in Turkey. Don't ever think in terms of the war or conflict. Turkey is not willing and wishing in the end such a development.
Ahead of the summit, Israel and Greek media reported claims that the 2,500-strong rapid response force could be established against Turkey, although no such decision was officially announced at the summit, but strong signals were given. How could this affect the military balance in the Eastern Mediterranean?
2,500 soldiers are, it cannot be considered as being a full power, or a power which would really harm Turkey or excite Turkey and bring Turkey to a responsive attack, etc. But it's not possible, because there is no equality between the two sides. And in any case, this is they are bluffing in reality. It's not. It cannot be considered as being full-edged. How would I say? Opportunity for them to settle things by using force. It's not. In reality, it cannot happen. So we're simply listening to them as a high-voiced approach and nothing else.
With his remarks that those who dream of imperial ambitions should forget it, Prime Minister Netanyahu delivered an implicit message directed at Turkey. Do you think Israel is targeting Turkey's military and diplomatic presence in the region?
Well, Netanyahu is always speaking, but in the same time, Netanyahu is sending, he's approaching Turkey differently, and he's sending messages saying that we cannot fight with Turkey. So in reality, we are not looking for a war. It's nonsense. But in the same time, he is speaking loud for one reason. He needs to show himself as a captain who is not afraid of high seas, if you wish. But this is contrary to what he is really saying when he speaks consequently, as I tried to explain. So I don't believe that Netanyahu really thinks in terms of making war against Turkey. And one more one more thing in this respect, it's extremely important. When Israel thinks in terms of opening a war case with Turkey, how he would react? Because in reality, between Israel and Turkey, there is this Syria, there is this and that. So it's not possible to simply jump in the water and swimming, coming Turkey for making war. I mean, it's nonsense. And on the other hand, so we also know that the Israeli Navy cannot match the Turkish one. So, I mean, it's nonsense. Netanyahu will continue to speak, and Trump will continue to help him accordingly, because if you try to make war with Israel, you can be 100% sure that the United States will be behind it as much as it can possibly bring a peace in the end. So, of course, I mean, Israel has nuclear weapons, and this is yet a risky situation. But using these weapons in case defeated, Netanyahu needs to react against Turkey, of course. But he will bring his death in the same time, because when you use these weapons in such a short distance, Israel will also be affected deeply. So this will be this is nonsense. I mean, he cannot decide on his suicide neither. So all these things are speaking for nothing, as far as I'm concerned.
Concerns regarding Turkey's growing military capacity appear to have played a significant role in the rapprochement between Israel, Greece, and the Greek separatists. In the period ahead, is a further rise in the tensions in the Eastern Mediterranean likely, or does such initiative primarily serve a deterrent purpose?
I mean, let's be frank. As I tried to explain until now, Israel is not in a position to declare war against Turkey. And Turkey is not in a position to receive these threats as an opportunity to make war. So we will continue to speak, and Turkey will continue to get more powerful. I mean, we shall be economically and powerfully speaking a different nation in the coming years. We continue with our new investments to make the others understand that don't touch Turkey. This will be very harmful for you in the end. So all these are nothing but a chat. We will continue chatting with each other, but there will be no war. If there is war, this maybe evolve into a third world war in the end in the world, and nobody wishes to go that far. This is yet another important factor. So if the big powers of the leading powers of the world start making war among themselves, this is yet another problem. But the threats that we're facing within our region, with the smaller countries like that, nobody will let them go that far. The United States or Russia or China, they will say, wait, I mean, stop there. There will be an interference in any case. And my wish is that the big powers do not claim war or try to make the others understand that if there is war, they will win. Nobody wins in such a war in the world. So let's keep living peacefully with each other than thinking in terms of fighting and blooded systems. There will be no war with Israel, you can be sure. But the Syrian problem will not come to a peaceful end neither. Most probably Israel will continue to help or to push the PKK people to go against Turkey. And in between, we'll continue to with this headache for some more time. Well, I cannot, of course, say 100% that it will happen this way, but my feeling, and when I look at the ongoing processes, there will be maybe some clashes or this and that, but it will not go that far as when we talk, we're speaking of war. War is something that, it's not so cheap. But the situation, if Israel does not make step backward, then it does not take any other attitude, bringing more confidence to the region as much as to the neighbors, the situation will make us fear a little bit, continue to fear steadily for a while again. This is unfortunately the situation that we're facing with. On the 31st of this month, December, things we'll see. Because if they don't obey or they don't accept the changes which were brought to each of us as being the peacefulness afterwards, let's see. Let's wait and see a little bit. I mean, we have 9 days. Will the PKK people accept the peacefulness of this situation, or will they, under the pressure or the push-up from the Israeli side, will they continue to make it difficult for us as well? And what the Turkish situation and positions will be, how they will evolve, all this. So the next 2-3 months will be decisive for all of us. And we can speak much differently, probably. But at the same time, we may be facing a conflictual attitude. Let's wait and see. This is the shortest way to. It's not an answer, but who knows the answer and who knows the developments which will bring us peace in the end.